Greetings, Exile! Before, I was excited just by looking at this single frame of FaceBreaker. But now, after seeing it in its full glory, my excitement level has gone through the roof. It's even better than I had previously speculated. An absolute powerhouse of a unique that allows us to collect the teeth of our victims by literally baking their faces. And it turns out, I was actually quite right with my speculation too. So let's start with that first. I had speculated that it will allow us to use all mace skills, which turned out to be true. I also speculated that it would heavily scale with flat physical damage, and that turned out to be true as well. Although I was wrong about its damage scaling with armor, the level requirement for it, and us being able to equip a shield in the offhand. But now that we have the full information, let's do a proper breakdown. First of all, this item has no attribute or level requirement, so anyone can use it at any level. But to equip it, both our main hand and offhand slots are supposed to be completely empty. And since FaceBreakers are equipped in the glove slot, we're effectively sacrificing 3 equipment slots in total. In return, we gain 8 to 12 flat physical damage and gain 3 to 4 additional physical damage per boss face broken. So when you first find this unique, it will only have 8 to 12 physical damage. But that number will keep increasing with every unique boss you defeat throughout the campaign, including all unique bosses in the interlude. We also gain 1% more damage per 5 strength, meaning strength stacking is going to a main way to gain damage. So around 500 strength, it should be very achievable, we gain 100% more damage. And so much strength will also provide us a massive amount of additional HP and scale well with brute strength and hefty unit. You can even corrupt this item with a warlob and hope that 5 strength modifier changes to 4 strength modifier, resulting in roughly 25% more damage. We also gain extra strike range, which will make using skills like Bone Shatter feel much smoother. We also gain armor per strength. So with 500 strength, we also gain 500 flat armor as well. But now comes the main part. It states that we can use all mace skills while unarmed. This means our default attack becomes mace strike instead of punch. While unarmed, we also gain a base attack speed of 1.65, which is much higher than every mace type. And our base critical strike chance also becomes 5%. Although it says all mace skills, we still cannot use supercharged slam with it, because our fist counts as dual wielding 2 one-handed maces, while supercharged slam specifically requires a 2-handed mace. Now for the final thing that we gain from this. The item states that any unarmed attack that would use a equipped mace damage instead uses this item's damage. So basically, your fists are your maces and your maces are your fists. And since this damage appears as an implicit modifier, it can also be scaled further by applying quality to the item, potentially granting 20% more damage. But above all, keep in mind this is a free microtransaction for Hammer of the Gods, turning it into Fist of the Gods. Now, every other streamer and YouTuber has already jumped on the bandwagon for this unique. Some are insanely excited about it, some are busy crunching numbers, and some are, well, promoting Diablo while talking about FaceBreakers. Well, I guess you gotta do what you gotta do. Meanwhile, I was the first one to talk about it. And what did I get in return? Well, I got downvoted oblivion on Reddit, and the algorithm also gave me the middle finger. But honestly, that is pretty normal for me at this point. So once again, let me give you my honest thoughts about this unique. Do I think this item is some insanely broken meta unique? No. Do I think this is some useless off-meta trash unique only worth rendering for chance shards? Also no. This is simply a unique with a very specific purpose. It enables a full unarmed brawler playstyle, where you literally punch enemies to death and collect their teeth as trophies, and honestly, that alone makes it cool as hell. And with enough investment, I absolutely think you can turn it into a strong endgame build. There are already quite a few ways to scale its damage. First of all, you can stack strength as high as possible, not just through gear, but through jewels as well, since jewels can roll increased strength and even gain flat strength through corruption. Then we have the new kinetic rings, which can roll flat physical damage in both implicits and explicits. You can also use ball infusers to potentially push the glove quality to 30%, granting you up to 10% more damage. On top of this, you can stack ward and combine it with the new runic infusion support to gain even more added physical damage for your attacks. And lastly, keep in mind that we can destroy Azumite and Kalgoran uniques with Ulroth's legacy. So maybe, just maybe, there's some absolutely ridiculous modifiers that could push FaceBreakers even further. So instead of blindly listening to others, wait for the game to come out, then try it yourself first. These gloves honestly do not seem that hard to acquire even in SSF, as Ritual now only offers unique items and you can gamble or chance chalky mids, since FaceBreakers are their only unique outcome. And if you're still unsure, just wait for someone else to make a proper endgame build or just follow me, because I'm 100% league starting a FaceBreaker build and I'm absolutely going to push it as far as I can. Now, before we move on to the most controversial topic surrounding FaceBreakers, let me talk about one scenario where this item could be completely busted for leveling. But this depends entirely on how the mechanic actually works. I think there are 2 possible ways FaceBreakers might function. In the first case, every time we defeat a boss, we permanently collect their broken teeth. And when we equip the gloves, those teeth get added onto the item in real time, giving us flat physical damage. But the second possibility is a truly busted one. What if FaceBreakers only gain damage when the boss is killed while the gloves are equipped? Because if that is how it works, then you could stack up massive amounts of added physical damage onto the gloves and then trade them to a brand new low level character since the item has no level requirement. Which means you could potentially buy a fully stacked pair with like 400 plus DPS and literally one punch your way through the entire campaign feeling like a literal god. Now, before we wrap up, let's talk a little about Hollow Palm technique. GGG has already confirmed that these will work together, but not in the way most people think. You see, Hollow Palm enable quarterstaff skills, meanwhile FaceBreaker enable mace skills, and any skills like Shockwave Totem, which can be used with both maces and quarterstaffs, will let FaceBreaker damage take precedence over it. So any flat physical damage we gain through FaceBreaker cannot be used for quarterstaff skills, but rest of the stats still can be. This means we can still stack damage and armor through strength, gain extra strike range, and even benefit from the increased stun build-up. But the main question is, how actually viable is this? Well, most of Hollow Palm builds use evasion and energy shield gear, which cannot roll strength at all. So that pretty much kills the strength stacking part. And that's the main attraction of FaceBreaker, isn't it? But there's still one more thing that has not been revealed yet, and that could completely change everything. The Fist of Stones from Martial Artist, which GGG confirmed that will also interact with the unique. So maybe it reveals something absolutely crazy that turns FaceBreaker into a complete powerhouse even with Hollow Palm technique. Here's my wildest guess about what I think it could be. I think it would potentially convert the strength scaling part into dexterity scaling, allow us to use quarterstaff skills, and even give us evasion per dexterity. So instead of gaining 1% more damage per 5 strength, maybe we gain it per 5 dexterity and can also use all that added flat physical damage for quarterstaff skills. But again, this is pure speculation. We won't know how this actually works until the game comes out, so don't get baited too hard by theory crafting. Be a brave warrior, not a stupid monkey. If you found this information helpful, make sure to complete all the formalities by liking, subscribing, and leaving your thoughts in the comment section. And if you're planning to league start as a FaceBreaker, punch that notification too. As always, thanks for watching Exile.